All right, let's get started. Today, we are going to decode a really critical topic for the Indian economy syllabus, the Export Promotion Mission, or EPM. Now, this is a big one because it represents a major policy shift. It's all about getting Indian MSMEs plugged into global value chains. So, paying close attention here is going to be essential for both your prelims and mains analysis.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll set the stage and talk about why MSME exports are such a massive priority right now. Then, we'll dig into the mission's core framework and its two fundamental pillars, Niryat Protsahan and Niryat Disha. And to wrap it all up, we'll do a focused synthesis, really zeroing in on what you need for effective revision and for applying this knowledge in the exam hall.
So, the big question is, why this mission mode approach? Why all the focus? Well, the answer really lies with India's micro, small, and medium enterprises. These MSMEs are truly the backbone of our domestic economy, but they consistently run into major roadblocks, everything from getting access to finance to navigating complex compliance rules that stop them from competing on the world stage. So, addressing this gap isn't just a good idea, it's essential economic priority.
And to tackle these challenges head-on, the Export Promotion Mission was created. But here's the key thing to remember. This is not just another scheme. Think of it as an integrated mission mode framework that's designed to provide complete end-to-end support for the Indian exporter. Now, the official definition here is very precise, and it tells us a lot. The EPM is a flagship initiative that provides coordinated support across the entire export journey. But the two keywords you absolutely have to remember are unified and digitally driven. This signals a huge strategic shift away from having a bunch of fragmented schemes towards one single, streamlined system.
This really illustrates the core strategy. What the EPM does is it employs a whole-of-government approach. It brings together policy, trade finance, market readiness, and market linkages all under one roof. By breaking down these traditional government silos, the mission really acts as a game changer, creating a clear, integrated path for MSMEs to scale up and go global.
So how does it actually work? Well, the mission's entire architecture is built on two really powerful pillars. On one side, you have Niryat Protsahan, which translates to export promotion, and it focuses squarely on financial support. Then, on the other side, there's Niryat Disha, which means export direction, and this one tackles all the non-financial, market access barriers. Let's take a closer look at each one.
First up, Niryat Protsahan. Its main goal is to bridge that persistent trade finance gap that so often holds back our MSME exporters. And it does this by delivering credit instruments that are timely, affordable, and, importantly, diversified.
A key financial tool that's being promoted here is something called export factoring. Now, for your prelims, this definition is absolutely crucial. It's basically a mechanism where an exporter can sell their unpaid invoices, their receivables, to a bank or another financial entity, usually at a small discount. What this does is it gives them immediate working capital, and it takes away the risk of waiting for delayed payments from buyers overseas. It's a huge relief for cash flow.
So, what's the big incentive to use this? Well, it's a direct interest subvention of 2.75% on the cost of this factoring service. This specific number, along with the cap of 50 lakh rupees per exporter, is what makes it such an attractive option for MSMEs who are trying to improve their cash flow. But Niryat Protsahan goes way beyond just factoring. Take a look at the targeted support for e-commerce exporters, giving them a guarantee coverage of up to 90%. It also provides collateral-free credit support with a guarantee coverage that can be as high as 85% for micro and small enterprises. These specific figures, these are high-yield facts you'll want to remember for any objective-type questions.
And here's that digitally driven aspect in action. The application is a super streamlined three-step process all kicked off on the DGFT portal. An exporter just generates a unique identification number, shares it with their bank, and then the bank processes the claim. The beauty of this is its simplicity. It's designed to slash through a ton of bureaucratic hurdles.
Okay, so let's move on to the second pillar, Niryat Disha, and see how this builds on all that financial support. This pillar is all about addressing the equally critical non-financial barriers. Everything from quality standards and logistics to market intelligence.
A major part of this is an intervention called TRACE. That stands for Trade Regulations, Accreditation, and Compliance Enablement. It's all about helping exporters meet international standards. And notice the clever two-tiered approach here. A positive list for common certifications gets 60% of the cost covered.
but a priority positive list for those more critical, higher-cost certifications needed for strategic markets gets even higher support, 75%.
And Niryat Disha includes several other really targeted schemes. For example, LIFT helps reduce logistics costs for exporters in hinterland states. Insight bridges information gaps by providing market intelligence. Flow gives crucial support for things like overseas warehousing. And MASS helps fund participation in global trade fairs. You can see how each of these is designed to systematically dismantle a very specific barrier to export.
Now, the application process under Niryat Disha is a bit more nuanced. For interventions like trace and lift, it's a pretty direct claim-based process. But for the more complex project-based support like flow and insight, it involves a proposal-based mechanism that gets evaluated by multiple committees. This just ensures there's really robust oversight for those bigger projects.
Okay, let's pull all this together and really synthesize this information from an examination perspective. The real question is, how do we consolidate all these different components for effective recall and sharp analysis?
This revision matrix right here is a really powerful tool for that synthesis. Just look at the clear division of labor. The Niryat Protsahan interventions, like export factoring and collateral support, are purely financial. They're all about unlocking capital. In contrast, Niryat Disha's interventions, trace, lift, flow, and MAS, are there to tackle the structural, non-financial barriers. Understanding this categorization is absolutely vital for structuring a comprehensive answer in your exam.
And finally, let's consider this potential mains question. The EPM marks a strategic shift from fragmented support to an integrated ecosystem-based approach. Discuss how the mission's design addresses both financial and non-financial barriers. See, to answer this well, you have to connect the two pillars, Niryat Protsahan for the financial barriers and Niryat Disha for the non-financial ones, and then argue how their convergence creates a truly holistic support system. This is exactly the kind of analytical thinking that's going to make your answers stand out.